we finally finished up this jewel eye swap. This was my very first jewel eye install, and honestly, it's probably gonna be my last. This is going on a Subi Hawkeye. This customer brought these headlights and the jewel eyes, and everything was already kind of cut up, but nothing was installed, and he hadn't done any sort of LED install, any sort of wiring, or any of the plastic cuts to get it to kind of look right. Since it was the very first one, I said yes, and I probably shouldn't have. I've learned a lot through this build. The main thing I learned is that it is definitely okay to say no to some things. The amount that we charged for this and the amount that we would have to charge for this in the future just does not make this kind of build, any sort of jewel eye retrofit, worth it. But I am glad I got to do it once. I literally spent several hours every single day for about 6 months just trying to get these done. I ended up having to work probably 2 to 3 hours every single day on it and then move on to something else so that I could be productive and actually get paid for the week. I don't even know which Acura this is. I don't know where these jewels came from. Since everything was provided, I don't have a parts list. So to make this look more OEM, I ended up cutting some gloss black acrylic pieces and installing them on the sides here and along the bottom right there. That's to block off the back housing so you don't have to see all the ugly wires and the ugly plastic. I mean, you're still looking at plastic, but at least it's like shiny gloss black plastic instead of, you know, inner housing plastic. We do have turn signal. So these do have OEM functions on them, which is good. The only thing I wasn't able to do is actually wire up the jewels, which I know seems like a very, very important step, but I couldn't get the low and highs to turn on just using our little power supply. So the customer is gonna have to find a connector off of an OEM Acura, whatever model this is, and tap that connector into his OEM harness so that he can actually plug these things in. So everything works except for the low and the high beams, unfortunately. So the two lessons that we can take away from something like this is that, one, it's okay to say no to something if you think that it's not gonna be worth it. I wasn't sure if this was gonna be worth it or not. And two, which is what no one wants to hear, is that sometimes you just gotta figure out how to charge more. I've always felt really bad charging more for something brand new, but in reality, I end up wasting a lot more time on something new, especially something like this, than if it was, you know, another set of 350Z lights. But if you're trying to do this as a business, I would definitely learn from my mistake and charge a little bit more than you think, because you don't want to end up losing money like I did on this. And yes, I do think I ended up losing money doing this build because it took me away from the much more simple things that make me money. And once you start having employees, you definitely cannot be losing money.